We understand the press conference is beginning right now. Let's listen in.
They will have a few comments in a second. Also assisting us in health and safety on site, OSHA is now present. We appreciate that. Along with the state police and Erie County sheriffs, the security perimeter has been established, I mentioned earlier this morning, and I appreciate all of the press not going down to the scene. I appreciate that. We don't need the extra congestion down there. Questions for me, by hand. Show a hand, please. You, ma'am.
Do you have any more information about any of the victims? Where they were from, any names?
I don't believe that's been released yet. We still don't have a manifest released to the public. Steve may want to elaborate on that in a second, okay? So maybe hold that thought. Yes, ma'am.
What is new since your last update?
We have the National Transportation Safety Board on location, and they'll start to complete their investigation immediately. They're just getting their information from us and getting briefed on what we know.
Are all the fires out and they're able to actually go into the site?
No, we are still battling a hot spot. We believe we've got a natural gas leak within the scene, and we're working with National Fuel to get that terminated so we can get in and cool this thing down to finish up that part of the scenario.
What have you gathered from witnesses that makes you able to better put together a picture of what happened here? Has anything you've gotten from any witnesses been able to lead you in a direction for what caused this crash?
I'm going to defer to Steve on that question as well. Hold that thought. Yes, sir, in the back.
The firefighters were on scene within minutes, so presumably they've been there for, what, close to 8 hours now?
That is not true. We are rotating our personnel 2-3 hour shifts. We've had 9 fire departments working with us so that no one particular group gets overtaxed.
But they've been on scene since what time?
We've been working since 11:30 at the time of the incident. Yes, sir.
Based on the heat of the scene there, is there any sort of an estimate on when you will be able to start kind of getting through and investigating?
If we're successful with the natural gas we're dealing with right now, mid-afternoon at best.
Along with natural gas, one of the firefighters I spoke to said that there were some magnesium particles from the airplane.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that causing?
Yeah, early on we felt that was something fueling the fire. Since then, it's been determined that probably was just a result of the extra heat coming out of the seat of this pile of rubble, and the natural gas is the real culprit. We're working to get that capped off so we can work in there.
Is there a hazmat issue now, Dave?
There is no hazmat issue. It's an exposure. It's a typical structure fire issue we deal with on a regular basis, not a hazmat.
Magnesium particles, anything like that, that's not an issue.
That's a non-issue.
Dave, now that the light of day is becoming, you've had a chance to see the debris field and maybe even see it from the air. How extensive how far spread is the debris, and how big is it?
I can only tell you as a non-expert that the debris field is very small. It's involving one structure, as I've been mentioning from the beginning, one structure completely destroyed with very little exposures to the other in the area. And that is just pretty much confirming what we already knew overnight. Yes, sir.
Given the devastation, how long would you advise family members to be patient before individual victims can be identified, and how will that be done?
I'm going to let Steve mention this as well.
Is there any
sign of the black boxes or the data recorder or the cockpit voice recorder?
Too early, and we have not even gotten into the extrication of the remains and fuselage, etc. Too soon on that item.
Is there any type of indication as far as how long the families in that immediate vicinity will be impacted by evacuation orders?
At least a day or so, and we'll be working with them to accommodate their needs, their personal needs. All right, I'm going to defer to Steve with the National Transportation Safety Board. He can answer some of your very specific questions a little better than I. Steve?
Good morning, everyone. Pardon me for being, maybe if I've got the sniffles and so forth, it's pretty cold out there and I just came in from the outside. I'm Steve Chealander, CHEALANDER, and I am one of the 5 board members of the National Transportation Safety Board, and I'll be the spokesperson for the next few days in working with you through this tragedy. What I'd like to do right now is just tell you what we know. I would like to tell you the protocol and process that we'll follow, and hopefully this will answer some of your questions. I've heard a couple questions already about cockpit voice recorders and flight data recorders, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. We arrived this morning on a FAA airplane about 8:30 We came in with 7 people. The FAA airplane went back to pick up the other half of our team. We've got another 7 coming in. They should be arriving in about 20 minutes. And in the FAA airplane, we're going to have 14 investigators on scene. Inclusive of that will be Transportation Disaster Assistance Group, which is to work with the families of the victims. They will work closely with Continental Airlines care team. There's an 800 number that's published. We can get that for you for those families that can contact Continental Airlines, and we will assist in that regard. We also have, as I said, investigators from different groups, operations, survivability, etc. The investigator in charge for our investigation is Ms. Lorinda Ward, and she is right here. And she's the one that's going to be in charge of the investigation from the NTSB perspective. We also have a public affairs contingent with us. Keith Holloway is right here. He's going to pass out. There he is right there. He's going to be your contact for the NTSB, along with Terry Williams, who's coming in on the 2nd FAA airplane. They will give you phone numbers and everything you need to contact us, and we will keep you apprised. We are going to have press briefings routinely like this and keep you up to date with everything we find. Now I would like to talk a little bit about the protocol of what we find. And tell you the process and what phase we're in now. We're going through the investigation in a phased approach. We're in the fact-finding, evidence-gathering stage as we speak. As we just pointed out, the fire is very hot. It's still burning out there. The incident commander is in control. He's the one that tells us when we can go in and start our investigation. So as far as picking up pieces and getting all the things that we need to get to conduct our investigation, we haven't begun that yet. With the exception of, we've been allowed by the incident commander to go in and try to retrieve the black boxes, if you will, the 2 recorders, the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder. We have investigators on scene as we speak trying to get those recorders out. Our intent is to get them out of here this morning and back to Washington and start the analysis of those as quickly as we can. That has not been done yet. We're attempting to do it. That's about the extent of our process thus far. Once we're cleared into the scene after the fire is suppressed and it's safe to do so, then we will start that. As far as the victims that were involved in this accident, none of that has been cleared yet, and the medical examiner is on scene, and we've been talking with him this morning. As soon as he's cleared in, then they will start that process as well. So the identification question and asking the timing of that is very premature right now to try to come up with an answer to that.
Steve, with the size of the plane and the minimal damage on the ground, what does that tell you about how this plane came out of the sky?
Well, that would be the analysis phase, and we're not there yet. Again, we're just trying to gather facts. We're trying to get witness accounts. We're trying to look at ATC tapes to try to figure out all of that, and we will maybe have some of that answer for you in the subsequent days. Right now, it's too early to tell.
Does your team go in with the medical examiner's office? Do you work side by side once the fire is out?
We'll be doing our portion, and they'll be doing their portion. So from that perspective, yes, we are working side by side.
Is there a definitive number of people? There's been some confusion as to the actual number.
What we've been told now is that there were 44 passengers, 4 crew members, and 1 fatality on the ground. And I just checked with the incident commander before I walked over here, and that's still the count that we're going with. And that's still preliminary. We have not verified that by any type of count that we've done on our own.
Can you talk about the safety record of these planes?
That was about 4 questions, sir.
We're talking about the safety record of these planes.
Hold on.
I won't talk about the safety record or anything like that. That's again getting into analysis phase and so forth. It was a Bombardier de Havilland Dash 8 400Q, and we've got a November number if you'd like to have that. It's November 200 Whiskey Quebec. The tail number on the airplane is N200WQ.
Is there any chance, I know data recorders are built to withstand tremendous impacts, fire, heat, everything, but is there any chance that there will not be data on there that tells you what happened?
Well, I would always say there's a chance, but we're hopeful that they will be intact. We don't know that yet. Hopefully they'll be intact. They can withstand a lot of impact. The tail section of the airplane is relatively intact, and so they're trying to recover it now. So.
What does the fact that the plane literally hit one home in a residential neighborhood, what can you draw from that?
Again, that would be a conclusion and an analysis, and so I won't get there.
Is there anything you've ruled out?
No, we're not there. We're not to that point yet.
One more question,
Can you talk about, there was a report that this plane was delayed in leaving Newark.
That'll all come out in our investigation. I've heard those news reports too, and we'll look into that and see if that has any significance to our investigation.
Were there any? That yourself.
I have not confirmed that, no.
Were there any?
And again, let me just say, I'm just trying to outline the process here for you. We don't have any factual information other than the fact that the airplane is down and it hit a house. And, I don't mean to be, that succinct, but that's really all we know. We're planting a flag here to tell you that the NTSB is on scene, and when we can, we will have primacy on the accident, and we'll take everything into account.
Walk us through the process of when it
days
out, and when you do get in, tell us what exactly is going to transpire at that.
Well, all of these different groups that I told you about, and investigators will be doing their jobs and collecting as much perishable evidence as we can get. Sifting through the accident and, looking at everything. We're just going to be looking at everything. Everybody's got a job to do. We'll keep you apprised of what that job is and what we find from those as we go along.
Does anyone have any other questions for anyone on the panel?
Can you tell us what you've seen at the site, sir? Can you tell us what you've seen? Describe for us what you saw when you got to the site.
I think that was already...
if you could repeat for those who were not here, please.
He's already outlined it. It's a very... compact area. It's one structure involved. The house was completely destroyed, and it's in that yard, basically, where that house was, that the accident is confined.
Steve, if you could just describe, is the plane in one piece? Is it separated? Describe exactly what the plane...
It was a major fire and explosion, so you can imagine after an accident like that it's there's a lot of carnage there. So
is there just the tail left? What is left of the plane?
Well, and you folks will probably get a chance in the subsequent days to visit the scene and see for yourself. So I'll just leave it to that.
If you could just tell us what is exactly there now.
I've told you as much. We've told you as much about the crash as we can tell you.
Can you tell us about the airplane itself? When was it built? How many miles did it have? Where did it go before it landed at Newark? Where did it come from?
We haven't gotten that information yet. We'll get all that and get that to you when we do.
Thank you.
Investigating how weather plays a role in this.
There's going to be someone. Thank you. There's going to be someone.
We'll look at that as well.
But how do you do that?
Here to speak afterwards.
We have a weather guy, a weather investigator that we brought with us.
Steve, could you describe...
He'll look into all of that.
Steve, could you describe the general categories that you'll be looking at for possible causes? Weather, mechanical?
All right, so we've been watching this press conference as promised. We expected it to begin right at the top of the hour to try to get a little bit more information about where things stand right now. Of course, we are not going to know anything about why this plane went down for quite some time, but as you heard,